Mm, Cool. What's going on, everybody? I'm here with my client, John. Just finished up his first 6 months. And tell the people, where are you from and what do you do?
Hi, my name's John. I'm 38. I'm from Southern California, Riverside specifically. I'm a nurse, but I work from home. I work for a medical device company, and I work for the quality side of things. And yeah,
Okay, dope, man. Lucky you're a nurse and you get to work from home.
yeah, it's been a good gig so far. So definitely blessed, and it definitely works out.
Awesome, man. So, I mean, where are you, where were you before, we started working together as far as your health and fitness is?
I would say that, you know, in terms of health and fitness, I was okay health and fitness wise. I think for being a heavier set guy, I wasn't like unhealthy per se. My in terms of labs and values, all that kind of stuff, my stuff was within well normal range. But I definitely wasn't healing the best versions of myself. I've done all kinds of dieting and fads. I would say my fitness journey really started back in 2009 when I was in nursing school. I stepped on the scale for the very first time because we had to for a class, and I saw the scale number and it went to 290. It's the heaviest I've ever been, and I was really shocked. I was like, "Whoa!" And looking back at it now, I remember shopping for clothes that were like quad XL, and for some reason, I was really proud of the fact that I had a quad XL shirt. Um, but it was just really wild to me thinking that that's where I used to be, and I was fine with it. And so that was kind of the first catalyst for me losing weight. During that time, I didn't really look up to anything. This is before the advent of like YouTube and Instagram, social media. So it's kind of on my own to kind of do my research how to lose weight. I just knew that I had to eat less, eat less. I think at the time, my basic concept of trying to lose weight was just work out and then like cut out carbs. So I think that's what I was pretty much doing. I was kind of just starving myself, and that worked for a while. I did lose some of the weight, and then when I started working my first job in the critical care setting in the ICU, um, I don't think I gained it back, but it wasn't sustainable for the long run. Um, I started doing CrossFit for the first time. That was before I really picked up speed then. I met with a nutritionist there, and that's when I first had my first, I would say, diet program, so to speak. It was paleo, and that was wonderful as well at the same time. I got all the way down, I think in the span of 2 years, I think 180 was my lightest. But again, looking back at it now and comparing myself now to that version of myself, I definitely could feel like I lost muscle mass. I was also in my mid 20s, so metabolism was probably ramped up pretty high. So activity was really high at the time as well. I was playing intramural sports, doing CrossFit. I remember we would do like back-to-back workouts and then go play football in the afternoon and then just go hang out and do all that kind of stuff. So activity and being able to eat a lot was kind of that was the sweet spot there. And then got into a relationship, and as some people do, not everyone, I gained some weight during that relationship. And in the midst of that, I was introduced into the powerlifting field, where strength and size kind of go on hand in hand. So I got big again, kind of, and I got my strongest at the time, which was pretty cool to see that. But fast forward here now, I've tried losing weight on my own. I've input my numbers on some calculators online, and when I saw you work with another friend of mine, um, I figured I was, like, you know what? This is the first time I've actually seen somebody who has like a one-to-one testimonial. I know the guy that has the results, and so I'm going to reach out to his guy instead of having somebody, I see all these testimonials online. I don't know any of the personal people. So knowing somebody personal who's actually gone through the program, saying, hey, well, this works, I thought that was pretty cool, and I wanted to make sure I worked with that person at the end of result, and being able to finally listen to a professional and kind of just tell me what to do and just follow it has been probably the biggest game changer. Um, and now I feel like I'm at a very, very good version of myself. Hard to say if it's the best, only because I remember myself in the mid 20s, peak fitness, but it's definitely a very good version of myself considering that I'm bordering 40. Um, so I'm definitely the fastest version of myself, running better, running faster, running lighter. So that's always really cool too.
That's awesome, man. So basically, it's been, what is that? 26 years that you've been,
Oh
is
yeah.
that? Is it? No, that's not right. 16 years.
16 years, 16 years. Yeah.
Okay, all right, all right. So it's been 16 years. You've been kind of up and down with your fitness. You tried lots of different things. It was maybe a little bit easier in your 20s because you had all the time in the world to work out. And then
Yeah.
now you're a dad, got a big boy job.
Yeah.
Time is much less. Um, so you gained the weight on purpose, I'm assuming, right? For the powerlifting, or was it just like kind of a byproduct of
I
like
wouldn't
not caring
say
as much?
it was kind of a byproduct. Weight wasn't a factor in any of the stuff that we were doing. I was still playing a little bit of football, but I was, the position I was in, I was blocking. So being big also was beneficial. So there was no downside to not being big yet. Until I kind of took a step back from the mirror and said, I don't want to be this big. It's not as fun. Clothes are not as form fitting. And I've always had the back of my head, wanting to look a certain way, growing up as a kid. Growing up in the early 90s, early 2000s, the Goku physique was always something that I attained for myself. Always wish I had like a time chamber I can walk into and just train for like a year or two and then come back out a different person. So that's always been in the back of my head, the first physique of like, yeah, that's the one I want to get look like.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Goku and Rocky 4
Yeah,
specifically.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So I guess what were you feeling around the time when, you saw me and Mikey working together, right? Like what kind of made you want to make a change? Or had you already been dieting and like kind of frustrated at that point, or like where were you at?
I would say mentally I was okay, but I knew that since I was like kind of approaching 40, I wanted to lose the weight. I think I had just ran my first marathon and I had lost some weight leading up to it, but then I figured it's like, like I have some lofty goals in my head before I hit 40 and definitely before I hit 50 of doing some stuff that I've always liked and I've always admired, you being, a bodybuilder and like a physique competitor. I've always wanted to put myself on a stage and see if I can get to that level. And I've watched and kind of immersed myself in that industry to a certain speak. So I know how much work it really goes into to really deplete yourself and really get that lean. And a part of me is like, the mental challenge is something that interests me. And also just be able to say like, can I still do that at this age? Is that something that's still attainable? Um, I always like rationalize it myself whenever I see like social media content creators, all that kind of stuff saying, like, oh, he gets to be that lean because that's his life, it's his job. So it's what he does for a living versus those who were like work a 9 to 5 maybe. And that was just excuses that I gave myself. So I wanted to see if I could still push it, being a dad, working 9 to 5, and then also still obtaining lofty goals of like running another marathon, maybe doing my first Ironman, my first bodybuilding show, probably. We'll see if that happens. High rocks, if that's what's up there, competing in jiu-jitsu, and then maybe even stepping back onto the powerlifting stage. I don't know. But like I still have those ambitions that I still want to try to achieve. Until I don't know, science says I can't, I'm gonna try anyway.
Mm, okay. So I mean, you were not necessarily in a bad position or anything like that, but you're like, I could do more. And that was
Yeah,
kind of the
yeah.
thing. You're just like, I
That's
could be
that.
better.
Yeah, that's definitely the way I could put it. Like I definitely knew I could be better. I definitely knew that this wasn't like the best potential I've reached in terms of physique for sure, or performance wise for sure. So I knew that there was always room for improvement in that aspect, and I wanted to see where I could go, especially preparing for anything in the future.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, you got a whole wide range of goals there.
Yeah, it's a very big spattering, and they're usually converse of each other, and so that's the reason why I really like it. And so I'm excited now that I've kind of gotten closer to my goal weight and physique goal. It's still, in my head, it's not exactly yet, but it's definitely better than it's been in the past. I would say like maybe at least 10 years. Yeah, I could probably say 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I mean, what were your thoughts going through the process? Like obviously you've tried kind of other diets before, you did it on your own, you worked with the nutritionist at the CrossFit gym that you're at. Like what was your thoughts going through the process in this program?
I It was more just like, getting out of my own head, making sure that I'm not telling myself that, oh, I know better.
Mm,
Being older than you, I was like, I had to make sure that I step back and said, just listen to him, just do what he says. There's a quote that sometimes runs in my head that's, like, why do you do self-help books if your self sucks? And that's kind of where I was. I was like, myself sucks. Why am I listening to myself? Listen to somebody else. So I'm gonna
Mm.
listen to somebody who's done it before, who's done it a bunch of times with other people, who has a repeated try and true process, and just follow it. Like, don't second guess. Don't look up other things online, what are happening. Just stick to the program meticulously and as close to it as possible. Be honest with anything for sure. And the accountability part was the biggest part. I could have lied about the data all I wanted, but the pictures weren't gonna lie. They were gonna come across at some point, and you're gonna question like, "Hey, man, you lost 10 pounds, but you look the same from week to week. What's going on?" And so, accountability part was a very big piece that I definitely needed.
Yeah, it is a very interesting dynamic that you mentioned, right? Like, I think especially as guys, we always want to be like, I know what I'm doing, right? But at the
Yeah,
end of the day, you have to, I don't want to say helmet yourself, but like be realistic and open-minded and say, you know, if I actually knew, wouldn't I be there?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have no problem outsourcing knowledge to those who are better at it than myself. So I think I just have to kind of step back at that. I don't know what it is, maybe about doing it to yourself versus like at work. At work, and can easily ask a question to somebody who knows better. But for some reason, when it comes to personal stuff, it's kind of always this taboo, or maybe there's a mental block in my own head. So I definitely had to make sure I kind of shut myself up in that regard and just stick to the program, listen to it, and let the magic happen, kind of.
Yeah, yeah. I would say that's a pretty Asian thing. Just trying
Yeah,
to handle things yourself and don't
yeah,
ask
yeah,
for help.
for sure.
Yeah. I mean, did you have any doubts or fears like going into this?
Um, I get not necessarily. I would say maybe I was like, man, is this program really going to work? But outside of that, I was like, there's no way if I don't show up and just follow it, it's going to work. It's going to happen. Something's going to happen. Um, and at that point, it was more about like I got nothing to lose, except myself. I invested in myself to do this, so it's kind of up to me to show up and just do it. So I didn't really have any doubts of like, hey, is this right or is this working? I think maybe a couple times I like, if he told me something, I just double checked it online because again, self-doubt. And I was like, yeah, he's right. So after probably the first month, I was like, okay, stop doing that. You're just getting in your own head. And so just like if when AJ says something in regards to your program, just follow it. Just work it out.
Hmm. Did that make it easier for you to follow and just kind of give you more peace of mind?
Yeah, it did actually. 100% did. I was like able to shut that part off, and I was able to kind of it started to go like on autopilot and kind of just like the routine of doing stuff over and over and over again helps a lot. So that definitely was a big part.
Yeah, it's funny because, sometimes you want to double check everything and be super in control, but that's kind of one of the bigger benefits about having a coach, and that's why coaches have coaches, is because pretty much everybody is emotional about the way that they look in the scale, no matter how much you know. And so just being
Yeah,
able to put the decision in an objective hand
yeah,
takes a little bit off your plate.
yeah. Pretty much someone to call it the bullshit and kind of like cut the crap and just like, hey man, like this is what you got to do. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Let me just do it. I'm gonna stop making excuses for myself. There's no more reasons, to kind of not do it. So just get over it.
Yeah, get challenged. So, I mean, where are you at now?
Um, Well, right now, I definitely feel really, really good. Having food back in my life in terms of like more calories is always a plus. The workouts are workouting. They're great right now. The pumps are feeling so much better. So I'm really enjoying that part. The holiday season is coming up, so I'm looking forward to kind of enjoying that. I think it was probably a great timing wise in terms of like 6 months prior starting before this instead of like starting it like, later on because yeah, in the middle of the holiday season and trying to cut would be rough. Going on vacation in 2 weeks. So I'm glad what we discussed in terms of where we're going to be and moving forward. And all I can think about is like, I'm kind of excited for January to come so we can kind of get back into it and see how far I could take it to see how lean I can get. I wanted to actually, I forgot to mention this, and I'm pretty sure I went to Target for the first time. Not the first time, but I went to Target with my family the other day, and I was seeing some clothes, and I just wanted to try out some stuff that I thought really good, looked good. And I'm pretty confident the US standards for sizes have probably increased. Um, but I put on clothing sizes that were like two sizes lower than what I thought in my head. Like normally I wear like an extra large and I'm comfortable. I think this shirt is extra large. but I think I put on a sweater that was medium, and I was like, this is not a medium. There's no way this is a medium. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of offended. I was like, I am not that small. Like I need to be a large at minimum, but to put on a medium was pretty cool. I was like, oh, okay, this is pretty nice. And then like the pant size at the same time. I think I used to wear like a 40, 42 back in the day. I put on a 36, and I was like, nah, this is not a 36. This is weird. So whether or not it was, in terms of mental clarity and, mental boost, it felt good to put on those sizes, except for the medium shirt. I didn't like the fact that I was a medium. I never want to be a medium guy. I want to be a large, but outside of that, it was pretty cool just to put it on.
Yeah, that's nice. Like clothes are pretty objective feedback usually.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, how do you feel about like coming out of the cut, compared to maybe other times and like making this more of a lifestyle?
Oh, I feel great. I think every single time I've come out of my own version of a deficit of any kind, I've always kind of looked forward to the end goal, to the finish line. The last time I kind of did a drastic cut was last year. I was trying to make weight for a competition, and I did it. I made weight, but I remember just not enjoying it at all. I wasn't enjoying the process. I was kind of just like, okay, just get it over with. Once that's done, you can just enjoy life. Like you're good. Um, in comparison to now, it ended, and I was still like, I'm still good. Like technically, if he said keep going, I'd keep going. And then in terms of like managing food and intake, all that kind of stuff, I was still able to enjoy the same kind of food versus rebounding as bad. So like intake wise, I feel so much better in comparison to doing it on my own. Um, whether it's because I did it horrendously when I was on my own, it was horrible, like crash dieting, or maybe the meticulous like slow step downs that you gave me going back down and then slow step downs coming back up. I definitely didn't do those before. So those were huge. The feeling is night and day in comparison.
That's awesome, man. I mean, did that have like a positive impact around how you interact with other people, not feeling so hangry and food focused?
Yeah, definitely. I think my wife was definitely more excited for the fact that I could start eating more. She's been a great help, obviously, too. Whenever I ask, like, she's cooking something, I said, "Can you just give me the breakdown of the recipe?" And then, like, I'll make sure I have my macros right for it. But now that there's a little bit more leeway, I would say, in regards to the diet, there's a lot more time to be able to still go out and hang out with my family or prep better food, without having to be so like strict. But it was just, yeah, the feeling was just objectively better in comparison. I definitely wasn't just I wasn't as tired in comparison. I remember the lot again during the crash diet, I was energy wise just low. It was just bare minimum to get the day through and then go back, restart tomorrow and diet again. That was kind of how it was. In comparison to this program, there were moments of low energy, which I think was still kind of expected whenever you're on a deficit, but it wasn't as bad. I mean, I wasn't rushing for the day to end so that I can have a new day for tomorrow.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I mean, being hangry is never fun around
Yeah,
the
no,
wife and kids.
no.
Um, well, I mean, what's something that you would tell somebody who is watching this right now, who is maybe unsure or on the fence about taking the next step and joining this program?
I would say that the version of you that starts tomorrow is going to be a day behind from the version of you that starts today. That's all it really is. Like you could totally wait and do it, but the version of that you starts today has the finish line sooner than you do, than the person who waits longer. Um, I think there's no reason for you to kind of just, if you're wondering like why trust this guy, um, I think you can trust anybody, but I personally trust AJ because it works. I followed the program meticulously, and I'm down. I think it's around 30 to 40 pounds, depending on where we started off on. Um, the compliments are amazing. The fact that which is pretty cool. I still plan on being the most insufferable version of myself in the future. So I'm pretty insufferable now, but I'm definitely gonna get there. It's gonna get worse as time goes on and as the leaner I get. I think I owe that to my version of myself who used to be afraid of taking off their shirt when they were at to go swimming. So that high school version of me is kind of owed the fact that he can just walk around shirtless all the time for no reason, even in the dead middle of winter. I don't care. I owe it to that guy who was always kind of the bigger dude growing up as a kid, to be here. And so if you owe it to an older version of yourself or this past version of yourself to be the best version of yourself, just follow it, take the step. just message AJ and talk to him, and then get on the program. He had great community. We have so much insight on in terms of those who are continuously working through it, who've gone through the program, who are going through the program, and who have finished the program. So you have all kinds of people in all three phases of um, of the program who are kind of just there to help you out. If you have any questions, you kind of just shoot it out. If you have any, you want to talk to somebody personally, it's like, hey, do you have any personal stuff to help me out? They'll be more than happy to answer questions. And so the plethora of knowledge is actually really one of the another big plus. You're not doing it alone for sure. It's not just you and the coach. It's you, the coach, and his entourage, which is really cool.
Awesome, man. I appreciate it. I don't have much more to add on to that.
Yeah, man. Dude, I keep telling people, I keep sending messages to all my friends. I'm like, hey, man, what are you doing? Like, I was like, I had a friend who made a bet, like, hey, I can lose, I need to lose 5 pounds. I'm like, hey, let's make a bet. And I think this was like in the middle of the, program still like last month. And I said, okay, yeah, let's do it. And he still hasn't done anything. And I keep sending him just your profile. Every time that the ad comes up with you and Mike, and I was like, here, just go. I sent you the I sent him the Black Friday deals, like I think you had a Black Friday deal on it. So I sent him that too. But, we'll see what happens.